Morning. How is everyone?
There he is. Okay. We're gonna do some housekeeping, read some stuff into the record, and then you'll get the platform to tell us what's going on, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're on the record. Good morning. This is the February 9th, 2023 meeting of the Southern Region Board of Review. This hearing is being held via WebEx video conference at the Perry B. Duryea Jr. State Office Building, 250 Veterans Memorial Highway, rooms 2 and 3, Hauppauge, New York, 11788. The time is now 9:13 and this hearing is officially open. The members of the board are Eric Schaub, Andrew Hames, Paylin Nee, and myself, Robert Peterson, Chairman. From the Department of State is Mr. Courtney Nation. We will now hear the scheduled petitions. When you speak, please address the board and give your name, title, and legal address so that our court reporter can have all the information requested. When we may have to stop from time to time to consult with our technical staff. In making comments to the board, please provide a descriptive narrative on matters referring to your exhibits to enable the court reporter to enter these into the record. The first hearing is in the matter of petition number 2022-0268. The petitioner is Thomas D. Blore Architects, and the aggrieved party is JMB Holding Corp. And Michael Rigoletti. This petition pertains to a two-story detached single-family dwelling of wood frame construction. The dwelling is approximately 2,160 square feet in total gross floor area and is located at 488 West Drive, Popac, Town of Babylon, County of Suffolk, New York. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1220, the 2020 Residential Code of New York State, Section R322.3, titled Coastal High Hazard Areas, including B zones and coastal A zones where designated, which requires that areas that have been determined to be subject to wave heights in excess of 3 feet or subject to high velocity wave action or wave induced erosion shall be designated as coastal high hazard areas. Flood hazard areas that have been designated as subject to wave heights between 1.5 feet and 3 feet or otherwise designated by the jurisdiction shall be designated as coastal A zones. Buildings and structures constructed in whole or in part in coastal high hazard areas and coastal A zones where designated shall be designed and constructed in accordance with sections R322.3.1 through R322.3.10. The petitioner wishes to have a foundation and lowest floor that is not in accordance with applicable provisions of R322.3.2 through R322.3.5. Okay, Mr. Blore, you're up.
Good morning, members of the board. Thomas Blore, the architect for the project. Office is located at 60 Carlton Avenue, Suite 202, Islip Terrace, New York, 11752. So yes, the intent of this application is to elevate an existing home, convert it to a FEMA compliant home, but with an enclosed foundation. Originally, we had ordered a new survey back in 2019. My office created plans. We had submitted to the building department and actually received a building permit to construct the all in accordance with AE6. So designing it, and the line of moderate wave action was missed. The house went under construction, received all its inspections. At one point, the owner decided he wanted to add a covered front portico to the home. Heard a town variance. It's located in Town of Babylon, zone resident. We went for that variance hearing, and one of the representatives from the town reached out and said, wait a minute, guys, take a look at, my version of the flood map. It does appear this line of wave action cuts through the corner of the dwelling. At that point, I asked the surveyor to please review the survey, update it, indicate that line on there. And in fact, that line of moderate wave action enters less than, I would say, 25%. About 24% of the footprint of this dwelling is located within the line of moderate wave action. The remainder of the residence is located in zone AE6. Now, all the construction that is in compliance with AE6, flood elevation, having all the horizontal beams treated if they're within the, below the design flood elevation. And that kind of brings us to where we are today. As far as the surrounding neighborhood, the neighboring home, I don't know if it's a precedent or not, but does as well, look to be an elevated home and does have an enclosed foundation, which looks to be 50% of that home is located within the line of moderate wave action. Whether or not they leave from this board, I'm unaware of. But the house is surrounded by residential properties. It's not a waterfront property. Basically, with one more residence blocking this home from the, and then to the south is a property. So it's kind of a housing complex, and there's tennis courts and an in-ground outdoor pool located behind the parcel. We also sought DEC approval, did gain DEC approval. We do have some area that was flagged as wetlands on the little piece of the parcel that juts out behind the residence. If the board should have any questions, I'd be happy to.
Thomas, so what's the elevation that's deficient?
So it's not necessarily an elevation. So what happens here is the line of moderate wave action, which is a curved line, clips the corner of the footprint of this house. The elevation is correct. It's just when you're within the line of moderate wave action, the difference is you cannot have an enclosed foundation other than breakaway walls. Then you would be designing the home, as an open to the air foundation with let's piers or wooden helical piles as the vertical structural members.
So you're in an AE zone?
It's split, right? So it's AE6 is the flood zone, and then you have the line of moderate wave action just cutting through. It's not a V zone. It's just that when the line of moderate wave action cuts through a portion, technically that portion then has to be an open foundation.
Actually,
and it's about less than 25% of the footprint of this residence.
Doesn't it require that at least one side of the foundation has to be open? And
I believe all sides.
maybe all sides? Okay. But then the other point, I think, being in the within the line of moderate wave action, it requires that all structural members be above the DFE.
Correct. All
So
horizontal.
that's part of this, yeah. So
Right. No, that's the one. Yeah. One of the code sections is that all horizontal structural members. Correct.
So that was my question. The lowest structural floor member, and what is that elevation? That was in
That would
the
point.
record.
Sorry. So that would be 7.22, which
And
would
where
be
is
to
that?
the bottom of. That would be to the bottom of the dropped girder.
Okay.
If you have my submission package and you take a look at my cross section, which is on drawing A5, the design flood elevation would be 8, freeboard of 2. That would be the bottom of the floor joist. So the entire floor joist assembly is above it, and it would just be the dropped girders. That would be.
Yeah, I didn't see that on your section. That's why I asked. That elevation is not depicted.
now,
Correct. It is not.
on that section, and it's not clear what is there, but at the bottom of the crawl space, is that a new concrete slab?
Correct. Yeah, that's a slab equal to the exterior adjacent grade.
And that section also indicates that there was a previous slab below that?
Yes. Right. It used to go
That's
underground. Exactly.
Is that
That was-
removed, Thomas?
Correct. That was demolished,
Is that-
removed.
Okay.
That was removed. It's
Yes.
not indicated on the drawing, okay.
It's dotted.
Now, if water gets into, well, dotted doesn't necessarily mean removed.
Yeah, I understand.
If water gets into that area, how does it drain?
We have flood vents throughout the entire, crawl space.
Right, but the flood vents are not going to drain all the water that collects in that area in the crawl space.
Oh, right. Yeah, there is no drainage system, a 2-inch slab. No.
So there's no holes or sump or anything in there to let the water drain into the soil.
No, there is not.
That to me is a big problem. The other problem I have is apparently you're putting a gypsum board under the insulation. What happens when that gets wet? Or even highly moist as it certainly will.
Yeah, I would have to make a site visit to see if they did that. That's, in the part of the code where it states if you use any crawl space for storage, when they out it required that the underside receive a gypsum board. If it's not used for storage and not used to house any mechanical equipment, then the gypsum board is not required.
No, that's if you're using solid lumber, that wouldn't be required, that drywall layer, only in engineered lumber, from what I understand. So I think he's just talking about,
I mean, even if you had to put something there, it would seem to me it would make more sense to put something like cement board or something that's going to be
Yeah, moisture resistant. Understood.
definitely moisture resistant. This stuff is going to rot.
what about the bad insulation?
It's gonna, and the bad insulation too. I would think that should be a foam insulation that's gonna be impervious to the water. This is gonna be a mess under there. These are your drawings.
Yeah.
All right, we're on the crawl space. Thomas, is there a crawl space access to the main? I see it for the
Yeah.
addition. And granted, I didn't spend a lot of time, forensically going through the plans, but
Yeah,
I don't see crawl space access.
Yeah, so then it's a floor hatch. So, there's a closet on the first floor, beneath the stair. Access hatch panel, in the floor there.
Okay, so that's the code require, and then you have two other ones for the other two crawl spaces.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So they would use the crawl space for storage?
I would hope not.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question was by Mr. Nation, whether the crawl space was actually going to be used for storage.
No, they're not using it for storage.
The calculation of the flood vents, and I didn't go through them in detail, but I noticed the area required for flood vents, the flood vents that are in the wall between the different crawl spaces, were they included in that calculation? Or is that calculation only for perimeter flood vents?
Those are included as, those are the 3 additional flood vents we're providing.
3 additional above what's required?
Correct.
Okay.
So when the house was lifted, Thomas, did the entire foundation get new foundation, or was there existing foundation to remain?
No, the entire foundation was demolished. New helical piles were installed, pile caps.
Okay.
I didn't see any design criteria or details on the helical piles. How were they designed?
Oh, I have a engineered plan. I did not submit those. I apologize. I can submit those to you guys if you'd like. Yeah, there's 2 separate sheets that are signed.
Gotcha. Okay, no, we just wanted to ensure they were there.
Yes,
Too many things are left up to the contractor. And quite frankly, I would say there's tremendous notes all over here that may not all be necessary because we're raising the house, not rebuilding the whole thing. But I find on many plans, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, design is left to the notes typically say, okay, do it by code and leave it to the contractor to design it. That to me is not a professional approach.
So Thomas, I think I was just trying to make it clear. The ASP1 exhibit that you submitted, the site plan says that the existing house was not on pilings. So when it was lifted, the foundation was improved. It was put on helical piles with a new stem wall foundation. So it's a much better construction. And I just want to make sure on the record that we're clear that the existing house didn't have piles, the new house, when lifted, does. Is that correct statement? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Would you or the owners be, object to a condition that requires either covering or replacing that gypsum board in the crawl space with a water resistant or waterproof material?
No, not at all. We would not object at all, to be clear.
Okay.
I think I got my questions answered. There's no bulkhead here. There's just a minor shoreline down at that piece of 26.
Correct, yeah,
Okay,
exactly. It's not waterfront. You know, directly behind it, you have that little piece that comes down that has some like wetland area, marsh, so to speak.
do you have any information with regards to how the house was weathered during the storm, Sandy storm? How'd they do?
Uh,
How did it fare?
Yeah, no, I was only at the house in 2019 when the owner I was working with had just purchased it. I believe it was, you know, abandoned since Sandy, you know, so probably had the storm and no whatsoever and just sat probably as an abandoned home since then.
Okay,
So you're working with the current owner?
Correct, yes.
everything is done with the building department?
Yes,
You're waiting for this board's decision, issue a CO?
correct, yes. Correct, yes.
Okay. So there's no CO on the house right now? On the work? of the building
To my
permit?
knowledge, no, you know.
Okay.
All inspections were completed. I have correspondence from the building department that stated everything was in check. Just we needed the, you know, state variance to issue a CO.
I think there was a question on what code this was filed under. I think your application date was 2019.
Right, so, yeah, it was filed for the building permit was 2019. So I refer to that as the 2017 New York State Uniform Code Supplement.
So it was the 2015 code with the supplement from New York State.
Is it?
And it's at the time of filing, right? It's not when the permit's issued. So
So
in
it
the application to this board, we have a 2020 request.
should be 2015, really.
Is it 12?
Yeah,
2015 with the,
Okay.
is it?
Yeah,
You still refer to the 2015 code, even though you have a supplement in 2020.
Well, there's no supplement
Well-
2020. There's 2017 and then, New York State
2017.
created- okay.
Yeah.
so we might have to
Yeah,
change
when
our language, but that's what you're seeking today. It's the 2015 with the 2017 supplement.
17.
exactly correct. And that's what I put in my cover letter for my submission package.
Okay. I don't know, is there any difference with the 2020 code and the 2015?
But not for this particular.
I'm sorry, that was a general question, but yeah.
That actually, when this chipboard code came out, is Courtney Nation on? He might be more familiar with that. In 2020 might be
talking-
when they started.
Thomas, are you talking about the half-inch drywall on the bottom of a basement, like a floor?
Yeah,
For-
or
for
crawl
engineered
space,
lumber?
only if it's storage or, you know, has mechanical equipment. That being a big gripe when the code was updated and everyone was saying, well, how are we gonna, you know, you have all these pipes and everything going vertical, how are you gonna, you know, chipboard a crawl space when it's high?
I
you
think
know?
there's some code commentary out there. If it's actually conventional lumber, you don't need that half-inch drywall. But
Really, that's interesting, because I battle that in ISIP all the time with my applications. you know.
we don't need to discuss that in this meeting, but you can always call Courtney. He can send you some emails.
Understood, thank you.
All right. Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
I think I'm good. All right, Thomas, we're going to go talk this out. We'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Thomas, how are you? All right. Back on the record. With respect to the petition of JMB Holding Corp. and Michael Rigletti, petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1220, the 2015 International Residential Code of New York State. The board makes the following findings. Number one, the subject dwelling is 2 stories in height of wood frame construction and is located in a coastal AE flood hazard zone. Number two, the application for this permit was filed on 7/10/2019. Therefore, the applicable code is the 2015 IRC as modified by the 2017 Code Supplement. Section R322.3 of the 2015, IRC contains similar requirements as those at section R322.3 of the 2020 Residential Code of New York State. Number three, both the 2015 code and the 2020 code require that construction seaward of the Limwa line of moderate wave action be elevated such that the lowest horizontal structural member in the lowest floor is above the design flood elevation. Number four, in the subject dwelling, the bottom of the lowest structural member is at 7.22 feet NAVD 88 per applicant's notes. See Part 5 of the application form. Number five, the required elevation is 8 feet NAVD 88, which includes a 2-foot freeboard imposed by New York State. The 2-foot freeboard provides an added factor of safety, and absent of the freeboard requirement, the elevation of the structure would be code compliant. Number six, both the 2015 code and the 2020 code also require that the foundations for dwellings located seaward of the Limwa be breakaway wall construction. Number seven, the applicant had almost completed constructing the subject dwelling pursuant to an issued building permit when notified of a violation by the local floodplain manager. The applicant finds it impractical to demolish and replace the stem wall foundation to comply with the code's breakaway foundation wall requirements. Number eight, according to a survey supplied with this variance application, only a fraction of the dwelling falls within the Limwa. This may make wave action at this location less impactful than would otherwise occur if the dwelling were located further seaward. And number nine, this request for a variance to section R322.3 includes a variance to the provision of R322.3.2 requiring the elevation of the lowest structural element above the DFE, design flood elevation. It also includes applicable variances to the requirement for breakaway wall foundation construction, such as at item 3 of section R322.3.5 of the 2015 IRC. So with respect to 19 NYCRR Part 1220, the 2015 International Residential Code of New York State, section R322.3, the board finds strict compliance with the provisions to the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code would entail practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship and would entail a change so slight to produce a negligible additional benefit consonant with the purpose of the code and would be physically or legally impractical. And the granting of this variance will not substantially adversely affect the Uniform Code's provisions for health, safety, and security. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for a variance from the provisions of 19 NYCRR Part 1220, 2015 IRC Section R322.3 be and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. Number one, that flood openings shall be installed within the foundation stem walls in accordance with item 2 of section R322.2.2 of the 2020 Residential Code of New York State. Number two, that the gypsum board and insulation in the floor, the first floor, right? Under the floor shall be removed and replaced with acceptable water resistant materials. Number three, that provision be made either via sump pump or openings in the crawl space slab to allow for the drainage of water. Need a motion to approve with these conditions?
Andy, so moved.
Can I get a second? Eric is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Furthermore, it should be noted that the decision of this board is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within this petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans and specifications presented in support of this application. Okay, Thomas, we had an approval with 3 conditions. You have any questions?
No, not at all.
All right, just correct that I mispronounced your name. It's not Blore, it's Blore. Sorry about
It's
that.
Blore, yeah, it's pronounced like floor, but with a B.
No problem. Nice to meet you. Good job today.
Have a great day, everyone.
You too. Thank
Take
you.
care. Yeah.
Okay, we have a second hearing. 0441, I have a Brian Fiore.
Yep. Here I
How are
go.
you, sir? Are you with us today?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning. I don't see,
Coming in right about now, hopefully. There we go.
How are you?
Good, good.
All right, we're going to read some stuff in the record, and then we're going to give you the platform.
Sure.
Start. No problem. Get my link here. This one is 441. Okay, the second hearing is in the matter of petition number 2022-0441. The petitioner is Brian Fiore, RA, and the aggrieved party is Maria Santoro. This petition pertains to proposed additions and alterations to an existing two-story detached dwelling of wood frame construction. The dwelling will become approximately 3,000 square feet in total gross floor area. The dwelling is located at 2448 Jackson Avenue, Seaford, Town of Hempstead, County of Nassau, New York. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1220, the 2020 Residential Code of New York State, Section R322.2.1, which requires that buildings and structures in flood hazard areas, including flood hazard areas designated as coastal A zones, shall have the lowest floors elevated to or above the base flood elevation plus 2 feet, or the design flood elevation determined in accordance with Section R322.1.4 through R322.1.4.1, whichever is higher. The petitioner wishes to have the lowest habitable floor at an elevation that is less than allowed. Okay. All right, Brian.
This Brian Fiore, architect, 208 North Wisconsin Avenue, Massapequa, New York. Hearing on behalf of Santoros, we are proposing a 2-story addition along with a whole house renovation that's going to be considered in excess of 50%. So it's a substantial improvement. Required to elevate the first floor. It's a slab on grade house. We're in an AE7. We're required to be at elevation 9. The current first floor is at 8.3. And we're looking to match that on the new addition and maintain that throughout the first floor of the existing dwelling. Since this is a 50% improvement, we are required to raise the entire first floor to the 9-foot elevation. It's a 8-inch difference here on this property, 8 3/8, 0.7 feet. So we're looking for relief to be below the freeboard, to be below the design flood elevation. As far as flood history goes, there's no FEMA flood claims at all in the history of this property from Sandy or any of the other storms that show up, Irene. So that was also submitted as an exhibit. Another thing that's kind of interesting is that it's on the elevation certificate, the first floor is at 8.3 and the grade is at 6.3 and 6.7. So it's roughly 2 feet above the adjoining grade. Normally these slab on grade homes are about 8 inches above grade or lower. So this one is actually a little bit higher, which is in their favor also. So basically the main reason we're seeking this relief is because of the cost to raise the house would really make the project impossible to be funded.
What would be that cost, Brian?
That's a very good question. It's it could be another $150,000 to $200,000 to.
There's been, I'm sorry to step on you. There's been no bids, right, for the cost to do that, or?
No, I don't have
Okay.
actual bids for
So
that.
from your professional experience, you're thinking 150, 200.
You know why? In this particular case, the slab on grade house, most likely, they'd have to build an entire new wood floor frame and foundation with flood vents and a crawl space that doesn't exist, currently. So it would be pretty more than your average, house raise where you're blocking up a foundation sitting a floor back.
Okay, so the existing house is a slab on grade.
Correct, correct.
Would it be attainable to just pad 8 inches up? Is that something that,
We did, I addressed that with the homeowners. They do have an 8-foot ceiling on the first floor. And
Okay.
it would bring them to, 7 foot, 7'4", 7'2", ceiling height down there. It's feasible, but it's not ideal. One of the reasons this construction is happening is because we're looking to create a mother-daughter use for the first floor for Maria and her husband live on the second floor, and they're looking to create another living quarters for their daughter and grandchildren on the first floor. So that's part of this application with the town of Hempstead. That so there are going to be another family, the relative living on the first floor there, and we're looking to keep that the 8-foot ceilings that were in the current house.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if you're done with your presentation, but if you are, we'll start asking some questions.
That pretty much covers everything.
Okay. I found the application somewhere that you're amenable to raising the mechanical equipment to the 9 feet?
Correct.
Okay.
The outlets and mechanicals, the outlets are already just about over, where they are required to be, but
Yeah, if it's only 8 inches, I would assume that the outlets are fine.
Yep.
Electrical panels, fine. That's above the design flood elevation.
Correct. So, the elevation certificates has the mechanicals at 8.3, so we'd have no problem, raising those to meet code.
So none of this work has been done yet, right?
No, this is all proposed.
That's refreshing for this board. Just to let you know. Do we have any CO comments on this? No? No. Town of Hempstead's quiet. Is in favor of granting a variance?
Who is the Anthony Perito?
Anthony Pareto is he's a designer that works with me.
He works for you?
Yes.
How come the title block of the on the drawings are in his name? Why is it his title block?
On this particular project, it has his name on. Well, my name's right at the top of the title block.
You didn't answer my question.
They're both on there.
Why is his, this appears to be his drawing. Why is his name as the designer on this drawing, as in the main title block?
Correct. It is on there.
Who's got the contract with the owner?
Both of us. We both are working together on it.
In whose name is the contract?
I believe it's under Pareto.
You realize that's illegal?
No.
Well, let me point out to you, it is.
We get a lot of applications, Brian, like that, where, the design professional is not really the person who prepared the plan. So Mr. Haney, just like to
Yeah.
put that on the record.
Okay. No,
Design-
fully done.
An ink, first of all, cannot contract for design services. So let me point that out.
Do you have any other questions, Andy?
No,
The section wasn't that great. It's kind of a struggle to get through and understand what's going on, but you did mention that it had a 2-foot to grade. And it's compacted fill, right? There probably should be insulation under the slab.
There's definitely going to be insulation.
Yeah, I didn't see that on the section. So I think we were kind of struggling with the level of detail on the section, but I totally understand the 8-inch issue. You're claiming economic hardship to raise the whole house.
In the existing house, this is like it's 2-story, but the whole front is mostly garage.
Correct.
So you're expanding the lower level, which is in the back, into the front.
Yes.
The addition on, yes.
So, and adding a new door.
Go ahead. We are, yes, we're converting the first floor. They're pretty much gutting the entire first floor. And on the second floor. And creating a small storage area for garage instead of having it, a full garage.
How is the new slab, it shows butted to the existing slab? How are they tied together there? Don't see that on the drawing.
Right. Well, the foundation walls are getting, anchored together, and then interior slabs are going to join in each other. The old and the new will match, slab thicknesses and elevation heights, and then, we'll be finished with the tile floor.
You're doweling them into the existing or doing something to tie them together?
Will be doweled into the existing walls. These aren't they're construction plans, but they're not approved by the town yet. So we definitely will be adding the insulation detail and on.
So just to put it on the record, I know it's not a desirable situation, but you just mentioned you're gutting the whole first floor. If you did pad up that floor at 8 inches, you still have a code compliant ceiling height for habitable space. And that would alleviate the need to be here today.
That's true.
Okay. So there is a solution to the problem, but it's not something that you're doing a mother-daughter. You don't want to compress ceiling height at, 7 foot?
7'4", probably
7 foot 4.
probably 7'2", by the time the flooring is done and see it sheetrock and everything. But yeah.
And you're exposing the ceiling and the framing and everything?
Yes,
And what's the floor framing above, the depth of that?
they should be 2x8 ceiling joists in there.
Okay.
Common and
You're not making that shallower because that sounds like a minimum framing.
correct.
You know where I'm going with this, there could be a potential solution to the problem, and
Of course.
the board has to determine whether the 8 inches is de minimis enough, or do you have to raise the house?
Correct. I have another project in flood zone where the first floor has to be, 5 feet over the slab on a similar situation. And, that one, I told them this isn't even something I'd want to bring, to the state. And, I have another project with a 5-foot addition next to a slab on grade. So, but in this case, the 8 inches, we felt like, this was a small number.
Did you indicated that the code official? Oh, you did. I'm sorry. I didn't see anything from the code official.
Yeah, he's silent.
It's on,
Code officials
Is it?
haven't.
I mean, he just,
Mon-
I saw something, maybe I didn't, I might have began the wrong one, sorry.
No, I didn't. There was no code questionnaire on this one.
We sent it to him, I emailed it to him, but I don't think he ever got it back to me, Mr. Montemorano at the town said, but he is aware, he was on the email for this hearing also. So we could certainly try to get that signature on form if it hasn't.
Spoken to me about it.
He didn't formally provide a questionnaire filled out. Okay. Any other questions? Good?
Okay.
All right. Brian, we're going to go talk this out. We'll be back with a decision.
Sure.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Hang in there. Are you there?
Yes.
She said that.
Okay,
Associate, yeah.
gentlemen,
Yes, I'm sorry.
we're back on the record. Let's just get my preamble.
We are.
Okay. With respect to the petition of Maria Santoro, petition number 2022-0441, petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1220, the 2020 Residential Code of New York State, Section R322.2.1. The board makes the following findings. Number one, the subject dwelling is 2 stories in height of wood frame construction and is located in AE7 flood hazard zone. Number two, 2 floors at approximately 400 gross square feet per floor are proposed to be added to the south of the existing dwelling. Other alterations and extensions are also proposed. Number 3, the authority having jurisdiction has determined that the proposed additions and alterations will be a substantial improvement. Such improvements trigger the requirement for the entire existing dwelling and proposed construction to conform to the flood provisions of sections R322 of the 2020 Residential Code of New York State, in accordance with provisions at section AJ 801.5 of the 2020 Residential Code of New York State. Number 4, the elevation certificate furnished with this variance application indicates that the dwelling has an existing garage at an elevation of 6.7 feet based on NAVD 88. The existing habitable first floor is indicated as being approximately 3 rises above the existing garage at an elevation of 8.3 feet NAVD 88, and the dwelling's second floor is at elevation 17 NAVD 88. Number 5, drawings furnished with this variance application lack the necessary sectional details at the existing and proposed first floor. However, it has been determined that the applicant wishes to permit the minimum lowest habitable first floor in the dwelling to be at 8.3 feet NAVD 88. This is 0.7 feet below the New York State design flood elevation requirement of 9 feet for this location, but is above the FEMA base flood elevation requirement. Number 6, the applicant has provided a flood loss statement on FEMA letterhead indicating that no flood loss payments have been made for the subject dwelling. This suggests that the dwelling suffered minimal flood damage, if at all, during the Sandy floods of 2012. So with respect to 19 NYCRR Part 1220, Section R322.2.1, the board finds strict compliance with the provisions to the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code would entail practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship, and would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden, and would entail a change so slight as to produce a negligible additional benefit consonant with the purpose of the code. And the granting of this variance will not substantially adversely affect the Uniform Code's provisions for health, safety, and security. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for a variance from the provisions of 19 NYCRR Part 1220, Section R322.2.1, be and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. Condition number 1, that the lowest habitable floor of the dwelling shall be at a minimum elevation of 8.3 feet above the 1988 North American Vertical Datum NAVD. Number 2, that the additional drawings containing sufficient sectional details to illustrate the construction of the lowest habitable floor and indicating its final elevation shall be provided to the local building department. And number 3, that all proposed construction materials and methods shall conform in all other respects to the provisions of the 2020 Residential Code of New York State, including but not limited to the requirement for using flood-resistant materials below the DFE as per Section R322.1.8 of the Residential Code of New York State. We need a motion to approve with these conditions.
So moved.
May I get a second?
Fighting second.
Bailey, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion is approved. Furthermore, it should be noted that the decision of this board is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. So Brian, you're approved with those conditions. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, makes sense. So for the 8 inches above the floor, we need flood resistant materials. So we wouldn't be able to, just want to confirm, we wouldn't be able to use sheetrock or regular insulation in that portion. They would have to use, some kind of spray foam or, a moisture resistant finish in that lower level, just confirming it. Okay.
That's correct. And yeah, there is a water resistant type sheetrock that could be used in the lower. I wouldn't stop it at 8 inches above the floor. I would continue it up higher, obviously.
Correct.
But yeah, everything below that DFE has to be water resistant.
Yep, understood, understood. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, next up in the queue is 0677, Norman Nemec.
Yeah.
Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
How are you today?
Good. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to read this into the record and then you'll have the mic.
Okay.
Okay, the third hearing is in the matter of petition number 2022-0677. The petitioner is Norman Nemec, RA, and the aggrieved party is Josh Cohen. This petition pertains to a new single-family dwelling of wood frame construction, 2 stories in height, approximately 4,660 square feet in total gross floor area. The building is to be located at 14 Orchard Street, Village of Great Neck, Nassau County, New York. Petitioner has requested relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the 2025 Code of New York State, Section D 103.4, titled Dead Ends, which requires that dead-end fire apparatus access roads in excess of 150 feet shall be provided with width and turnaround provisions in accordance with Table D 103.4. The petitioner wishes to have a dead-end fire apparatus access road of more than 150 feet, serving a new dwelling with a turnaround as required by Table D 103.4. Okay, Norman, all yours. Excuse
Yes,
me for a moment. 1 second.
Can I have the staff analysis on this?
You don't have an extra one?
Oh, do you have one?
No. Sorry about that, Norman.
Oh, don't worry.
Okay.
No. He's got it.
All right. Good to go.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for hearing our case appeal. Josh Cohen is on the line with us. He approached me a couple of years ago about seeking a subdivision approval for his property. The main reason being that the differential height from the patio in the backyard to the end of his rear yard goes up 17 feet over the course of about 100 feet. And it's the topography is somewhat of a challenge because it's like a bowl. It's very difficult to maintain that property given the slope. And so I set about preparing plans to obtain approvals from the Village of Great Neck. It'll need variances because it's an unusual zone. It's a residential double A, and the houses to the south of it are all residential A. That's probably why no house was ever built on fronting Orchard Street. So it's created a lot that in essence is a vacant lot effect on Orchard Street at the very end. Upon submission of the drawings to the Village of Great Neck, the building department cited the turnaround issue for fire service apparatus, and I began preparing a detailed presentation for the local fire chief, John Purcell. I myself am a firefighter as well with the Manhasset Lakeville Fire Department Engine Company 1 for the past 11 years. And so I'm pretty familiar with the operations that go on during a residential house fire. Based on the detailed analysis that I provided to Chief Purcell, he granted his approval on the condition that the house would be fully sprinklered in addition to a central remote station monitoring of carbon monoxide and smoke alarms. And so that's pretty much it. There's the real estate just doesn't exist to provide either a hammerhead or a alternate hammerhead or a 96-foot diameter cul-de-sac. However, there is a curb cut now at the end of Orchard Street for this particular lot. And in the design that I proposed, although we don't have a 96-foot diameter turnaround, we have somewhat of a 61-foot diameter turnaround based on a circular driveway that we're proposing. And in my experience, in a situation like this, an ambulance could easily negotiate that circular driveway. And that's pretty much the best we can do in terms of trying to achieve, conformance with Appendix D. And that's pretty much it.
What is the width of that driveway?
Let's see. I have the drawing right here. The circular driveway that we're proposing is about 12 feet.
Now, do you have any objection in our putting the creation and maintenance of that circular driveway as one of the conditions?
Yes, absolutely. If we can certainly make the bearing capacity of that driveway. I believe the code says 75,000 pounds per square foot, something to that effect. But we could certainly harden that driveway to get an 8-inch concrete slab. We won't put any dry wells underneath that driveway. And we can certainly have, no parking signs, whatever the board may deem necessary.
The application has identified that there's a fire sprinkler system being installed in the house?
Yes, that was the condition of Chief John Purcell's approval. I first went to the Nassau County Fire Marshal, and Mike Utaro directed me to one of his lieutenants, and basically he said, the fire marshal's office does not have jurisdictions regarding single-family dwellings, and he suggested that I approach Chief Purcell, Alert Fire Department, to seek their determination and their approval and any conditions. So the condition is that the house has to be fully sprinklered.
I'm going to read that letter into the record. I just wanted to make sure, clear for the record, that this is not a 3-story house that would require a sprinkler system. It's something that's above and beyond the requirement of the code that was mandated by the local fire department.
Correct.
So this letter that was prepared by Mr. John Purcell, Chief of the Department, Great Neck Alert Fire Company. Dear Mr. Nemec, dated June 6th, 2022, upon review of site plans for 68 Polo Road, 14 Orchard Street, located in Great Neck, New York, the Great Neck Alert Fire Company approves the application to go forward. As stated in preliminary plans, the residents will be equipped with a fire sprinkler system, I assume NFPA 13D?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. So that was a letter that was provided by the local fire department endorsing the project.
Correct.
That was Exhibit B.
Yep.
Any other questions from the board?
Okay.
I do have a question. The hydrant's on the opposite side of the road, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties up.
Mhm.
And your side of the road where the proposed house is, that is it's just hard to see from this image. It's a dead end at the bottom. So,
Right.
Thinking a ladder truck making it in there and an engine at the same time. The road better, placement of an engine and a ladder truck without having a turnaround at that bottom to be able to access both sections. The chief had no problem. I mean, he looked at that and said there was not a problem regarding that.
Yeah, typically, if there were a fire, say in this particular house, even though it would be sprinklered, the first rig that'll position itself in front of the house would be a ladder truck. There's no overhead utility lines on that side of the street where we're proposing subdivision, so a ladder truck could easily maneuver the ladder. And after behind it would be the engine with the line stretched.
All right. Are there same owners on both properties? The original owner of the house and then this new dwelling? Is it the same ownership or is it different ownership?
It's
The one on
currently
Polo Road?
68 Polo is currently part of this lot, and it's owned by the Millicent and Benjamin Cohen and Josh Cohen, who's on with us.
Okay. But it's for family or is it getting sold?
Josh?
No, I'm
No,
saying.
no, no. Yes, hi, how are you?
How are you?
No, it's not it's not getting sold. You know, we plan just to have it for our family. So we don't have any.
The line of my questioning was, could it be possible that some fire access could be from Polo Road if need be? And, you know, to get it from behind. Is that something that would be
I mean, I don't know.
difficult? Yeah, it's here, this is the lot, this
Yeah.
is the new house, this is Polo Road, this is the existing house. I mean, it's a tight 19.
Yeah, but at some point it could be sold. At
Yeah.
some point it
Yeah.
could be sold. So
Yeah.
we
All right.
can't use that as
Can't
a
use that as a
basis.
All right,
Well, typically, if there were a fire again, it would be a local chief's call, but most likely the first due rigs would approach on Orchard Street. If it went to a general alarm or multiple alarms, it's quite possible that there could be rigs parked along Polo Road as well, stretching lines and perhaps even operating a ladder. But I think that's too far for a ladder truck anyway. But you could stretch hand lines from Polo Road.
it's getting it. Okay, thank you for that, Norman. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, we're gonna go talk this out. We'll be back as quick as possible with a decision.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ready to go. Just finish my candy. Okay, back on the record.
We are.
With respect to the petition of Josh Cohen, petition number 2022-0677, petitioner requests relief from 19 NYCRR, Part 1225, the 2020 Fire Code of New York State, Section D 103.4, titled Dead Ends. The board makes the following findings. Number one, an existing parcel of land that extends from Polo Road to Orchard Street has been subdivided. An existing dwelling to the east fronts on Polo Road, and a new dwelling in the subdivided parcel is proposed to front on to Orchard Street. Number two, Orchard Street is a public dead-end road that is approximately 600 feet long. Number three, the roadway appears to conform in all respects to the requirements for fire apparatus access road, except it does not have the turnaround for fire apparatus equipment that is required by Table D 103.4 of the 2020 Fire Code of New York State. Number four, the turnaround required by Table D 103.4 of the 2020 Fire Code of New York State facilitates maneuverability of firefighting equipment to allow driving forward in the event that a significant fire emergency necessitates retreat. Number five, providing a turnaround would involve taking of land nearby or an undesirable intrusion into the subdivided parcel, which the petitioner considers impractical. Number six, the petitioner has proposed to fully sprinkler the proposed dwelling and to install remote central station fire alarm monitoring. These measures will significantly improve fire suppression at the proposed dwelling and assist in reducing fire department response times. Number seven, the fire hydrant is located at the approximate halfway point of Orchard Street, approximately 260 feet from the newly subdivided parcel. Number eight, the petitioner has provided a letter from the chief of the local fire department approving of the petitioner's proposal with the condition of the installation of a domestic fire suppression system. Number nine, the local code enforcement official has been contacted and supports this application for a variance. So with respect to 19 NYCRR Part 1220, Section D 103.4, the board finds strict compliance with the provisions of the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code would entail practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship and would be physically and legally impractical. And the granting of this variance will not substantially adversely affect the Uniform Code's provisions for health, safety, and security. So wherefore it is determined that the application for a variance from the provisions of 19 NYCRR Part 1220, Section D 103.4 be and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. Number one, that the proposed dwelling shall be equipped throughout with an automatic sprinkler system in accordance with the design provisions of Section R313.1.1 of the 2020 Residential Code of New York State, and shall be protected by a fire alarm system that is connected and monitored by remote central station. Number two, that the presence of these systems shall be noted on the certificate of occupancy issued by the village, with a further note that these systems shall be maintained by all current and future owners of the dwelling. Number three, that the circular drive as shown on the plan shall be hardened to support fire apparatus and shall be a minimum width of 14 feet. Number 4, that in all other respects, the applicable provisions of the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code shall be complied with. I need a motion to approve with these conditions.
Andy, so moved.
May I get a second?
Any second?
Failing second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Furthermore, it should be noted that the decision of this board is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. So Norman, we had those 4 conditions. Any questions?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Good job today. Good luck with
Thank
your
you.
project.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too.
Take care.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, 4th and final hearing. We have the Village of Great Neck. Who's here today on behalf of Village of Great Neck?
Stephen Herrera, Superintendent of Building Department, on behalf of the Village of Great Neck.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Anybody else joining you today?
I have the architect of record, which is Mojos Dumazors. I have Ramya, and I
Okay.
also have Sean Doherty from Bowler Engineering.
Hi,
Great.
good morning. This is Ramya. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. So we're going to read this into the record and then we'll ask you to tell us what's going on, okay? 4th and final hearing is in the matter of petition number 2023-0042. The petitioner is the Village of Great Neck. This petition pertains to a new village hall, mixed occupancy group B, A3 of type 2B construction, 3 stories high, approximately 20,335 square feet in total gross floor area. The building is to be located at 767 Middle Neck Road, Village of Great Neck, Nassau County, New York. Petitioner has requested relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the 2020 Fire Code of New York State, Appendix D 105.3 titled Proximity to Building, which requires that one or more of the required access routes meeting this condition shall be located not less than 15 feet and not greater than 30 feet from the building and shall be positioned parallel to one entire side of the building. The side of the building on which the aerial fire apparatus access road is positioned shall be approved by the fire code official. Petitioner wishes to have an aerial fire apparatus access road that is 26 feet wide. Or a separate code section, which would be 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the 2020 Fire Code of New York State, Appendix D 105.2 titled Obstructions, which requires that overhead utility and power lines shall not be located over the aerial fire apparatus access road or between the aerial fire apparatus access road and the building. Other obstructions shall be permitted to be placed with the approval of the fire code official. The petitioner wishes to have an aerial fire apparatus access road that is obstructed by overhead utility lines. Okay, Stephen, you're up.
So, Old Village Hall was struck by lightning in August, and
What
due
was
to
struck- what was
Excuse me?
struck by? I didn't hear you. What was struck by lightning?
my original Village Hall was struck by lightning back in August. So it went up on fire. We are not moving back into that Village Hall, so we purchased a piece of property adjacent to a village-owned parking lot, parking field. Due to the nature of a 3-story building, fire department and fire marshal were met on site with me. We determined that the fire apparatus cannot access from Middle Neck Road, would be the front of the building. But we do own the parking lot next to it and the driveway next to it. After speaking to the fire chief, he had his engineer design a route to come in. We would have to lose one parking spot in our parking lot, which we did not have a problem with. He showed on the map that I submitted with his letter and the engineer from the fire department's letter. I have supporting letter from the fire chief and from the fire marshal that we can make this work. The building will be sprinkled, will have standpipe. I don't think it should be a problem to access from the side or the rear of the building to have the 26-foot access. The only thing is we cannot afford to bury the front power lines on Middle Neck Road. The cost is excessive to the village.
Do you have the ability to share your screen so we can talk intelligently about the plan, the site plan? Do you have the ability to do that? Or maybe the architect?
Romney, do you have that?
I can try. Give me 1 second, please.
Are you back up? I think it's important for all of us to look at it at the same time. So while we're waiting, I got one question for you. It seems the variance kind of goes away if you guys upgrade to 2A construction. I think that's an exception in D 105.1. But it has to be approved by the fire code official. That if the building was type 2A construction equipped throughout with an automatic sprinkler system in accordance with section 903.3.1.1 and having a firefighter, excuse me, access to an enclosed stairway with a class 1 standpipe in conformance with NFPA 14 from the lowest level of fire department vehicle access to all roof surfaces, then we wouldn't have a need for this variance. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
So what's the hardship in going to 2B to 2A?
Elaborate on that?
What would be the difficulty or the hardship to upgrade your construction type to type 2A, which is essentially fire protecting the structural components of the building?
The cost, after speaking with the architect, the cost was a tremendous difference in cost. It was almost double.
Double the construction cost of the building?
Correct.
Can you give us some numbers, if you don't mind?
Ramya, can you provide those numbers, please?
The difference in cost?
Yes, from the type 2A to a 2B.
I don't have the right number because from the beginning we did consider it to be a 2B because being the reason it's just first floor and 2 more floors added up to it. So that being said, we never considered that to be a 2A because it's mostly for an office use.
Type 2, we have 3 walls that are going to be fire protected, correct? It was the one wall that's going to be glass that was not fire protected. That's why we deemed it a 2B.
Yes, and we do have 2-hour enclosures around the stairwell and the shafts, and the building is automatically sprinklered, and we are also using interior finishes that falls in under the restrictions for a type 2B.
Correct.
So 2B is non-combustible, unprotected. You can
Yes.
have an open glass wall, that's fine, it's non-combustible. The structural components, it's usually 1 hour, I think, the upgrade, if it was spray proofed or whatnot. So it just seems like an easy design solution from my standpoint to upgrade the construction type, and then you're not in front of this board. So I just wanted to hear from you guys why that's not attainable and why you need the request for relief from the board. And then we can get past that and talk about the merits of the application if you want. I just wanted an answer to that question. So it's a cost concern, but we don't know what the cost is.
Yes,
Rob,
it
you provide that?
certainly is.
Okay, so I was just asking for some numbers. So if the building's a $2 million building, you say it's a $4 million building?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I'm not able to share my screen for some reason. It says I cannot share the
Okay.
screen. Alex, I'm not sure if you have the site plan handy. If you mind sharing the screen, please. Alex or Sean.
We can get through it without it if you can't do that. It's not necessary for the hearing, we just,
I'm not sure if it's a firewall that's not letting me share anything on WebEx. I'm not sure about that. I can try. Give me 1 second.
all right, so let's reference some exhibits and ask some questions while they're trying to. pull up the-
I can share my screen, I believe. I will try.
Okay.
While we're waiting to share the screen, I'm going to read I guess there's a letter from the fire marshal.
Yes, I have provided a letter from the fire marshal and from local fire department, Chief Purcell.
Who sounds very familiar. Isn't that the Frank case?
Prior chief.
All right, so I'll read Mr. Purcell's letter into the record. I'm not sure what exhibit it is, but January 17, 2023, Mr. Stephen Haramis, thank you for allowing us to submit our comments on the proposed three-story Village Hall building at 758 Middle Neck Road, Great Neck, New York. It is the opinion of the Great Neck Alert Fire Company that we can adequately protect this new building with the following changes to the original proposed site plan. Number one, remove one parking spot at the west side of the entry driveway in the existing rear parking lot to allow for our aerial apparatus to access the rear of the building as shown on the attached drawing Fire-2 modified by GNAFD on 1/17/2023. And number two, create a 26-foot wide aerial access area at the rear of the proposed three-story building as shown on the attached drawing Fire-2 modified by GNAFD on 1/17/2023. Thank you for your cooperation. Joseph Giordano, Fire Prevention Officer of the Great Neck Alert Fire Company. And I think there's a fire marshal letter as well. Am I correct in that? I don't know.
Yes.
Where is that, Courtney? Is that after that? No, there's some exhibits.
And just for the record, the same letter was written and signed by Chief Purcell, because the fire marshals like to get a letter accepted from the chief of the local fire department, not just their engineer or engineering firm that they use.
Understood. So do we have an exhibit number for that? I'm trying to find it.
I think it was an email.
Yeah, I agree. I just sent it.
It was an email, it was sent in an email,
Is it in a digital submission? It's not in our package?
but,
This is the one with the attached drawing. Is this the one, is this for?
That's the local fire department.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for the fire marshal's
This
statement.
is what I was looking for. That's a good-
All right. I'll keep looking for it.
let me,
It was sent on January 18th, Courtney.
We have met with the Nassau County Fire Marshal from Gibbons Weston.
That's from the superintendent of buildings. That's from TN. I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was explaining that the letter was sent. That's the letter.
I think that's.
Oh, your audio was in and out. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, I had sent an email on the 18th to Courtney.
You guys hear what he said?
There's an email on
Email on the 18th, is that?
It's
Oh, you're, you want.
on,
Somebody's got their speaker too close to their mic.
it's on the screen now, so. I don't know if you can read that, Mr. Chairman.
Is that the one I just read?
Yeah, that's what you just read.
So I'm not gonna read that again. No, that's from Steve. Okay, we're gonna move on. And if we find it, we'll circle back. So, are we able to pull up the, one of the exhibits on the site plan? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we do have it on the screen right now.
Okay, so that is, the exhibit that was submitted, the turning exhibit submitted to the Great Neck Alert Fire Company. And
Yes, that was submitted to them that they modified to make this access work.
so that circle indicates a space that's going to be removed as per the request.
Correct.
And then there's a staging area behind, I guess that's the west side.
Yes,
6 foot deep.
correct.
Do you need those parking spaces on the west side of the building? You have a handicap accessible space there.
Yeah, they wanted to leave the handicap spots there. They were, I guess, reserved for the mayor and board. A few spots. They wanted to keep the handicap spot there.
So Stephen, how far is that closest point of the access area to the building?
I believe the spots are 19 feet.
And then like a sidewalk or what, a 5?
Yeah.
And the fire department feels that's okay to do an aerial from that point?
Yes.
We've had quite a bit of variances for aerials, and we usually get like a section drawing or an elevation. There's nothing in this package that has that. Do you guys have any elevations, or is it just what you submitted to the board? You don't have any additional drawings or exhibits that'll help us understand that height of the building in relation to the area?
Ramya, do you or Sean have that?
I thought we did submit the architectural that had the building elevations and the sections.
We don't have any drawings from Mojo Stumer in this package.
I
It's
see.
solar and sprinkler drawings, unless the sprinkler drawings were prepared by your firm. Yeah, sprinkler drawings. Sprinkler drawings have elevations?
Yes, we do have the building sections and elevations. I'm trying to pull up if that's okay.
Okay, thank you. You want to ask questions about
It's so the,
outriggers?
yeah, so the chief of the fire department, or the fire department said it was okay for them for you to park in at an aerial, in the aerial access area and be able to operate over parking spots?
That exhibit that was presented with the red circle say remove this spot and show the 20th. The fire department's engineer actually drew that on the plan and said that's what they would want. Fire marshal looked it over and they approved it as well.
And there's no other place to put that parking in that area and for that building?
No, there was not.
I just can't imagine somebody driving an aerial fire truck and being able to operate over those parking spots. Where is the sprinkler connection?
The sprinkler drawings are in here.
Yeah. I'm just looking at.
He's
this.
asking where the FPC is, on what side of the building? Drawings are too big.
12 o'clock, sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Member Shah was asking where the FDC is, the Siamese.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The fire department connection.
So there's a picture that was submitted. There's a fire hydrant about 50 feet away on the same side of the street, heading northbound. And then there was another fire hydrant 239 feet southbound.
You asked where the fire department can.
Yeah, so if I'm gonna connect to the sprinkler system of the building, where is that located on the building?
Ramya, do you have that information?
That's on the north side, correct? By the driveway?
Are you able to see my screen?
I didn't
Yeah,
see it.
It's on the side facing the drive,
Driveway side, which is
It's
the
on
north.
the north side.
upper right-hand corner.
Yes.
It's going to be right here. Or, I'm not sure if anyone can see my screen. Hello?
Okay. So this staging area was a sort of a condition of approval by the local fire department because of the deficiency of the access aisle, right?
Correct.
Just, yeah, so,
So they actually feel that they can access it from the driveway as well. Because that's 22 feet, you need 26 feet, that's 22 feet. They feel very confident to do it from there, but they wanted to show a staging area of 26 feet in the rear as well.
as an additional, which is their purview to do that. You want to ask about outriggers and stuff? It looks a little tight.
It looks a little tight in there from what you're saying. So the fire access road is coming in to be able to stay, or to be able to set up from there. What is the distance of that road?
So the building would be 31 feet, the road is 22 feet.
Yeah.
Seems, what's the code?
26 feet.
26.
So I'm not setting up an aerial on that side.
Well, the fire department feels they can.
And I understand that that's the case, but you know, a truck is only good for how long that it lasts, and neighboring engines and trucks as well. So, you know, that's a concern. That's why that law is there. It's not just for that fire department, but if, you know, if you're fighting a 3-story building, you're calling in more than one ladder.
Correct. That's why we fully sprinkled the building, and we had the fire marshals come out there to look at the site. They checked over the plans as well. That's why we have a letter of support from the local Nassau County Fire Marshals as well.
Yeah.
It's a good point, Stephen. Is the sprinkler system required or it's an elective choice? Is it something that's in the code requirement, or are you guys offering it up as an additional
As a three-story building, it is required.
for that construction type 2B? Okay. How about the standpipe? You have a standpipe?
Yes, we do have the standpipe.
But all this stuff is required in the code. It's not something you're mitigating with additional protection. Is that correct? It's required by the code and you're putting it in.
Yes.
All right, I was just looking for additional stuff that you might be putting in place to help mitigate the deficiency in fighting the fire. So I'm just trying to get that on the record.
I'm not sure standpipe is required for a 3-story building. I thought it was for a 4-story building. Don't quote me on that though. So I thought we were adding that in.
And there's many factors that come into play with that, you know, frontage calculations, stuff like that. So I would defer to the design professional on that code analysis if that was done. But it's important to note for our record, if it is something you're putting in to enhance the protection, it's not required by code. So we don't have those documents here. You have any other questions, the board?
I think for any 3-story is required.
Maybe the fire marshal's ordinance. But if it's a small little office building, non-combustible, I don't have the building code in front of me. It's all based on fire area, right? Height of the building. All right, all my notes have been answered. My questions have been
I
answered.
don't have any questions.
So the village would definitely not be amenable to taking those 4 spots out on the west side. Their parking spaces.
If we could keep them, we would like to. If it's a condition, then we'll remove them. We'd really like to keep them though. Only because the handicap accessibility and all.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be close to the main entrance of the building.
Yeah.
You don't have parking on either side, north and south, so
Correct.
we get it. The village has the ability to waive the zoning requirement for parking, so that's not an issue, right? It's
Yes,
just the handicap accessible component. So
correct.
if anybody doesn't have any other questions, we can go deliberate. We good?
Good.
All right, Stephen, we're going to go talk this out. We'll be back as quick as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're almost there. All right, so we're back on the record. We found that fire marshal letter, and I'd like to read that into the record. It's actually undated, recently submitted to the Department of State via email about a week ago to Mr. Stephen Haramis, Superintendent of Buildings. Dear Mr. Haramis, the Office of the Nassau County Fire Marshal has no objection to the plan approved by the Great Neck Alert Fire Company to provide appropriate fire department aerial access at the rear of the proposed premises. In addition to the designated unobstructed width of 26 feet, the access route must be located not less than 15 feet, not more than 30 feet from the building as per the FCNYS section D105.3. Please contact me should you have any concerns or questions. Paul Harche, Fire Marshal, Nassau County Fire Marshal. So got that on the record. Getting to the order of business on the decision. With respect to the Village of Great Neck, petition number 2023-004-0042. Petitioner has requested relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the 2020 Fire Code of New York State Appendix D 105.3, titled Proximity to Building. The petitioner wishes to use a staging area at the rear of the building on the west side in lieu of a compliant aerial fire apparatus access road. Or 19 NYCRR Part 1225, I'm not reading that? Okay, I'm not reading the option or. So the board makes the following findings. Number one, the subject building is a proposed three-story type 2B construction, approximately 42-foot high building that will be occupied as the Village Hall for Great Neck. Number two, Appendix D 105 of the 2020 Fire Code of New York State requires new buildings more than 30 feet high to have an aerial fire apparatus access road on at least one side. Number three, the building will front onto Middle Neck Road to its east. This is a public way with adequate width for fire apparatus access. However, there are existing overhead utility lines, electric utility lines between the public way and the proposed new building. Number four, such overhead lines are not allowed at aerial apparatus access roads per section D 105.4 of the 2020 Fire Code of New York State. Number five, the village has explored the cost of burying these lines in order to permit use of Middle Neck Road as a fire apparatus staging area and satisfy the code's requirements at Appendix G 105.4. The cost of doing so will be approximately $600,000 and be cost prohibitive. Six, the building will be sited to provide fire truck access to its north and west sides on the property owned by the village. The access to the north is only approximately 22 feet and is too narrow for staging aerial fire apparatus access, as required by section D 105.3 of the 2020 Fire Code of New York State. Number seven, one of the applicant's exhibits titled Fire Truck Turning Exhibit depicts a 26-foot wide staging area at the rear of the proposed building. The local fire department has reviewed and commented on the plan for fire department access to the building and staging area and has found it to be adequate. Number eight, there are parking stalls shown between the proposed staging area and the west side of the building. The board feels this would be a hindrance for firefighting, or to firefighting. Number nine, the building will be fully sprinklered, have a code-compliant fire alarm system installed throughout, and a Class 1 standpipe system installed. Number 10, subject to fire marshal approval, the exception to section D 105.1 of the 2020 Fire Code of New York State would exempt a fully sprinkled building of type 2A construction classification from the need for an aerial fire apparatus access, provided that the building has enclosed stairway, providing suitable access to the roof from grade, and having a Class 1 standpipe. The subject building is a proposed type 2B construction. And number 11, the Nassau County Fire Marshal has also indicated support for the granting of this variance. So with respect to 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the 2020 Fire Code of New York State, Appendix D 105.3, is that the only one I'm reading? Okay. The board finds strict compliance with the provisions to the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code would entail practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship and would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden and would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which should ensure the achievement of the code's intended objective, or in light of alternatives which, without a loss of level of safety, achieve the code's intended objective more efficiently, effectively, and economically. And the granting of this variance will not substantially adversely affect the Uniform Code's provisions for health, safety, and security. So wherefore, it is determined that the application for variances from the provisions of 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the 2020 Fire Code of New York State, Appendix D 105.3, be and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. Condition number one, that the proposed buildings shall be sited on the property with the minimum fire access and staging areas as presented in these findings. Number two, that all parking stalls between the proposed staging area and the west side of the building shall be removed. Alternatively, the proposed building shall conform to exception to D 105.1 of the 2020 Fire Code of New York State. Number three, that the building shall be fully sprinkled and protected by a fire alarm system that is installed throughout and shall have a Class 1 standpipe system in accordance with the stipulations of the Nassau County Fire Marshal. And number 4, that in all other respects, the provisions of the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code shall be complied with. I need a motion to approve with these conditions.
Andy, so moved.
May I get a second?
Erica, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is approved. Furthermore, it should be noted that the decision of this board is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. So we approved it with those 4 conditions. You have any questions, Stephen?
No, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you. Good luck with your project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.